Hi, everybody. We're really happy to join you today to share more about PopUp Learning in Bangladesh. I'm the education project lead at the Airbelt Impact Lab at the IRC, and we led the program design and pilot study for this project.
I'm Jacqueline Connor. I'm the Director of Impact at Enuma Inc. We were one of the software partners on this project and an implementation advisor as well.
Jennifer Welsh from Imagine Worldwide. And based on our experiences with tablet-based learning in Malawi, we partnered with the IRC to advise on this work in Bangladesh.
In March 2019, we set out to answer this design question. How might we provide learning at the right level in any learning space without relying on skilled teachers within the first 8 weeks of a crisis? Scale was always something that we thought about from the beginning, and so that was incorporated into our design challenge here. PopUp Learning is the solution that came out of that design challenge, and it has 3 main components: the best child-led learning software, thoughtful human support from community members and caregivers, and finally, flexible infrastructure, including informal learning spaces in homes and community centers, as well as charging stations, mobile servers, and offline connectivity. We chose to pilot PopUp in Bangladesh with the Rohingya refugees because it's an incredibly representative population of many humanitarian situations or contexts. Both the scale and the urgency were something that we were hoping to replicate here. In this context specifically, there are 400,000 displaced children, and many of them are out of school or attending under-resourced temporary learning centers.
So this solution that we specifically designed for this context in Cox's Bazar allowed children to learn on tablets between 45 and 60 minutes each session. And the facilitators, as you can see here, are caregivers, all female from the community, who received a stipend and who were recruited for their motivation and interest in running these sessions. The spaces that we used were non-traditional. The program either took place in the facilitator homes or in informal learning spaces throughout the 2 camps that we worked in. For storage and operations, we brought with our logistics team the tablets in and out of the camps every day. They were charged with the regular electricity that was available at the Ukiah office through IRC and synced with the server there every time they were returned. As Sylvia mentioned, software was selected. Enuma with KitKit School and War Child Holland with Can't Wait to Learn were the leading solutions that IRC selected. Both of these autonomous learning solutions put children at the center of their learning, offer a curriculum that spans pre-K through 3rd grade, as well as embedded assessments and scaffolded supports. They can be deployed anywhere and work offline, which was key for this particular context. And in order to ensure that these were designed to work for the Rohingya children that we worked with, they were selected for their globally minded contents, which allowed for the rapid localization process.
One of our major areas of inquiry for the pilot study was localization. We know that localization is a huge bottleneck when bringing software and new education content quickly to a crisis, and high price tags and long timelines are often preventative of actually getting this content to children quickly. We tested out new workflows such as voiceover by experienced translators from the context, updating the software as we went, as we completed buckets of localization. We also used a DIY recording studio, which reduced costs, and tested our content incessantly with users to make sure that it was understandable. We also suggest focusing efforts on translating content first, and then coming back to do a full cultural adaptation second, when your priority is getting the content to the children incredibly quickly. Our second area of inquiry was around facilitation and thinking about how we might create a simple delivery model where female caregivers support children's learning experience. And right now, the minimum level of human support that's needed when you're deploying autonomous learning solutions is really not well defined. And so we sought to learn about this specifically during the pilot. We learned that the community was incredibly important in defining the characteristics of our facilitators, that we should opt for family and respected individuals to ensure accountability. And we encouraged hands-on practice and peer support during training, as well as regular check-ins with facilitators to make sure things were going smoothly. And we also studied the child software experience to know exactly where human support was needed, and tweaked our training to respond to that. Our third area of inquiry was around technology setup, device storage, and distribution. And one of the things we learned here is that access and regulatory challenges are compounded in crisis contexts. It's harder to get where you need to go to work with the people that need it most. And we encourage in the future, and we will definitely work on in the future to improve access through partnerships. So not intending to do this alone, but work with those who are already in the context. Updating organizational asset protection policies and risk mitigation and security strategies is key. And engaging the community for last mile distribution has a lot of potential in getting the tablets where they need to be each day.
PopUp was an incredible learning experience, and we are eager to build on that to ensure fulfillment of our vision that all children can have access to high quality learning irrespective of context. So some of our planned next steps are first to generate evidence for this model. So while we have kind of designed and will be continuing to refine the implementation, we would like to do a rigorous randomized controlled trial in Bangladesh to understand more about learning outcomes and cost effectiveness. Second, building the case across contexts. So we have plans to replicate the PopUp Learning in Tanzania, which would be launching in 2021, both to demonstrate that this program can be delivered under COVID-19 conditions and demonstrating operational viability and impact of autonomous learning in a new setting. Third, integrating autonomous learning at IRC. So demonstrating that it can be used in both crisis and emergency contexts, and learning more about scaling the innovation across a network. And lastly, after demonstrating impact in multiple geographies, thinking about how we can advocate for increased uptake and influencing policy with relevant government agencies, education partners, and multilateral institutions. So thank you so much for viewing our presentation today. We have our contact information for any further thoughts or questions or ideas, and we look forward to discussing this at the symposium roundtable.